Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas, and today we are recapping all the SEC basketball action from Saturday, February 21st. Once these games they're now done, we only have 4 games left of the regular season. The SEC tournament is way closer than it feels, and so is March Madness and us getting a bracket. So let's run through all of the SEC action that we had this past weekend and talk about the implications going chronologically, starting off with Florida versus Ole Miss. Now, this game, it felt like it could be a little bit trappy. It wasn't at all. I mean, the better team was the better team. There was no sleepwalking for the Gators, who beat Ole Miss 94-75. Alex Condon had 24 points. Thomas Houck had 20. And Ruben Chinyelu, he's been a little bit cold offensively, at least. Right? I mean, the defense is always there for Chinyelu. In my opinion, should be one of, if not, he should be the defensive player of the year in the country. But he's been a little cold offensively, only 3 points and 6 rebounds. But that kind of makes sense. He's coming down to earth a little bit after that absolutely hot few weeks that he had, but he should regress back to the mean shortly. The Gators shot 11 of 22 from deep. Urban Klobjar was 4 or 5 from long range. I mean, the Gators are finding their stroke. They are really finding their stroke from downtown. And if this team is making threes, they are way more dangerous than they already have looked. And they turned it over 19 times, did Florida. They turned it over 19 times, and they still scored 94 points in a comfortable win. That is just psychotic behavior from a basketball team to be able to be that sloppy and still play that good. For Ole Miss, Malik Dia gave him 24 points. He was really their only threat. I mean, Ole Miss was just very outmatched in this game. The board battle was won by the Gators 39-24. Ole Miss actually won the points in the paint battle 42-38, but it just didn't matter. The Gators are still dominant, and Ole Miss is just out of it right now as a team. Moving on now, this was a fun one. Tennessee at Vanderbilt. The Vols won 69-65. This was a low-scoring war. No player individually hit 20 points on either side. The overall scoring leader was Jacoby Gillespie for Tennessee with 17. Nate Ament, he was just 3 of 13 from the field for the Vols, but he was 6 of 6 from the line. And for the Commodores, Tyler Tanner, he was able to give them 16 points. But Tyler Nickel, their primary sharpshooter from deep, he only had 3 points. He was 1 of 6. So now we know, like Nickel, obviously his value was always there. He has to hit a few threes if this team is going to win big games. So it is way better for Vandy to learn that now, in the regular season, when you know that you're going to be a top 5 seed in the tournament, battling for maybe a top 4 in the SEC tournament, although that's a little bit out of reach now. It's better to have this happen now than in March. Much better. So now Vandy knows, like, we need to make sure that we can get Nickel a bunch of good looks so we can make 3 threes a game. Because without that, they're not in a very good spot. But the Vols, I mean, they just crushed the battle down low. They won the rebounding battle by 9, won the points in the paint 40-22. Tennessee, they're quietly in line for a double bye in Nashville. I mean, they're the 4 seed, right? I mean, they're the 2 seed right now, actually, because of tiebreakers. But I mean, they're really high out there. People have kind of been forgetting, not really talking about Tennessee. They're unranked. They're not quite as flashy as they have been in the past. I don't want to say flashy, but they haven't been as electric, explosive as they have been in the past. Tennessee is right there, man. They're a really good team. And Vandy, they need to stack some wins down the line to ensure, a top, maybe a double bye in the SEC tournament, although that's looking more and more unlikely. But they're trying to solidify a top 5 overall seed in the March Madness bracket. Moving on, Missouri went to Arkansas, and Arkansas won 94-86. Darius Acuff came down to earth. By his standards, he only had 20 points. This kid is so good. But Billy Richmond, he led Arkansas with 21. Missouri gave him a great run. They really did. Mark Mitchell had 26. Trent Pierce put up 22. But the Tigers, they had double the turnovers that Arkansas had. It was 10-5 in the turnover battle. You just can't do that on the road if you're not like the overwhelmingly better team, which Missouri obviously is not over Arkansas. The Tigers, they need to beat Tennessee at home on Tuesday. They're running out of time here. They're on the bubble. I'd imagine when we get a new projector from Joe Lenardi on Tuesday morning, they will be a last 4 in still. I'd be surprised if they're out of the field as of current, but they need to stack some wins. They need to in search of Tennessee at home. They also do get Arkansas at home to end the year, does Missouri. But for the Hogs, they get A&M, and then they have a big one in Gainesville against the Gators on Saturday, which will be just be an absolute classic. Moving on, Bama went to LSU and won the game 90-83, a little bit closer than a lot of people thought it was going to be. He tied. They were able to survive a bad game from LeBaron Philon, but Aiden Holloway gave him 17. Latrell Wrightsell gave him 14 off the bench. Amari Allen put up 16 points. And Marquel Sutton for LSU, he gave him 21, just wasn't quite enough. Bama, they were 10 of 30 from deep, which was, it's not bad. That's pretty much where they want to be. Maybe making a few more of those, have a slightly higher percentage. They only had 26 paint points. I mean, Bama's down low scoring. It hasn't been there like we're used to seeing with these OG teams where it's mostly threes, but we know that his strategy is either 3 points or right at the rim. The right at the rim really hasn't been there the same way that it used to be. And that's sort of been a weakness of Alabama, which is why they're, flirting with being ranked in the 20s as opposed to the top 10s like we have in the past few years. But they were 30 of 37 from the free throw line was Alabama. Making 30 free throws, that was obviously the separator. LSU did win the battle down low on the glass, actually, but the free throws there were the separator, and the Crimson Tide win game number 20 on the year. Mississippi State went to South Carolina, and Carolina won 97-88. Josh Hubbard, after an electric 2 or 3 game stretch, he came back down to earth for real. He only had 13 points on 4 of 20 from the field. Meechie Johnson for Carolina had 21. So did Sharab Jamps. Kobe Knox had 17. Elijah Strong with 16. It was a well-rounded game for Carolina to get a home win. They shot 55% from the field, had a bunch of those guys in double digits, led this game by as much as 13. It was good for Carolina to get back into the win column, and Mississippi State, after that win against Auburn, they just kind of came down to earth. You had to go on the road, bit of a hangover after that. I wasn't overly shocked by this result, but one that I was surprised by was Texas at Georgia, 91-80 Georgia. I had picked Texas in this game, and it looked really bad for a while. Georgia was up by as much as 18, but then Texas, they came all the way back. They tied the game, but Georgia pulled back away and still won the game by double digits anyways. This is a massive win for Georgia to sustain their momentum after that win at Rupp, beating Kentucky during the midweek. Like I said, they tried to blow that 18-point lead, but they were able to pull back away later on. Jeremiah Wilkinson led the team with 19 points. Millender had 15. Santos Real with 13. Voki for Texas. Vokietitis, Swain, and Pope combined for 60 of their 80 points. Rest of the team only had 20. Now, obviously, those three guys, more often than not, they're going to lead to the scoring. Add Tremont Mark in there too. But you need a little more contribution from those other guys if you're going to win a game like this on the road against a Georgia team that is good at home, right? And they just didn't get that. Both teams, though, they were 50% or better from deep. The Dogs led for 97% of the game. So even though they did try to blow that lead, it was still an impressive, almost wire-to-wire win for Georgia over a good Texas team. And now Texas, they get Florida at home on Wednesday to maybe lock themselves in the tournament. I mean, that's become a very important game all of a sudden for the Horns to not drop 2 straight here near the end of the year. And that game is going to be really fun to watch. We will preview that during the week. Texas A&M went to Oklahoma, and the Aggies won 75-71. They survived with just 2 players in double figures. AG had 18, Griffin had 14, and Oklahoma, they were way more balanced and spread out with their scoring. Forsyth led them off the bench with 14. 3 starters had double figures, but Nigel Pack, he only had 6. And Oklahoma, they only shot 33% from the field, and they still had a shot to go win that game late, which is kind of wild to think about. But just 12 points in the paint for the Sooners. They cannot contend down low against an A&M team that is undersized. They were just out-physical. And the Aggies, they are still within striking distance of a top 4 seed in the SEC. They're going to need some help, but if they can take care of business down the line, they're in a good position to try and earn a double bye in Nashville. And the final game, the best game of the night, was Kentucky at Auburn. Auburn won 75-74. This was just a total classic of a game. Keyshawn Murphy led the way with 25 for Auburn. No other Tiger broke 11, and they were just 5 from 19 from deep as a team. For Kentucky, Otega Owe put up 29 points. That was a career high for him. Aberdeen had 15. Colin Chandler was just 1 of 6 from deep, and I believe it was 5 turnovers that he had. But just addressing the elephant in the room here with this game was the foul call late on Kentucky's inbound on Colin Chandler. Objectively, Colin Chandler did push off, but it was a flop by Overton. That's a play that you see a lot. You see a lot of times defenders will be there in tight with the offensive guy who's trying to push off and then fall on the shove. 90+% of the time, they don't call it. They just let it go because they know the refs know what's going on, right? Like it's a selling point. So I guess the ref saw something that he thought was more excessive. On the replay, to me, it looked like it was the same as usual, where it should not have been a foul on Colin Chandler. But the counter to that is that when Auburn had the ball down by 1, they got 3 shots off. If you're Kentucky there, don't be pouting about the foul call on the possession to end the game. Don't let Auburn get multiple offensive rebounds and beat you. Just box out. Just box out and the foul call goes away. It doesn't even matter. Kentucky should have just gotten a rebound no matter how wrong they thought that foul call was late. But Keyshawn Hall for Auburn, their best player, the body language is starting to become an issue. The attitude feels like it's starting to become an issue. He was benched last week by Stephen Pearl for, off the court things not living up to the standard. They brought him back for this game, but he kind of got into it with Pearl a little bit, getting, vocally, he wasn't there celebrating with Keyshawn Murphy late. Not really sure what's going on with him, but hopefully he's able to get figured out because he is such a good player. And when he's on, Auburn is a really, really good team. But regardless, Tigers get a massive win that they just needed. They needed this for their tournament buzz, and Kentucky drops their third straight now. Wildcats, adding that Florida loss seems to be weighing on them a little bit. Let's see if they can bounce back too. But that'll do it. That is all of the action that we had on Saturday in the SEC. It was another great day of SEC basketball, great weekend overall of college basketball. If you have been enjoying the basketball coverage, you want to see some more bracketology, some more previews and recaps, subscribe to me here. I will be doing all of it for you guys for the rest of the basketball season. I have been Will Thomas, and thank you so much for watching this episode of Tailgate Talk SEC.